You know, the best thing about Dollar Tree is that literally everything is $1 and some tax. But sometimes when I was young, my mom would be like, here's $5, you can go get whatever you want. And I would ball out. I'd be like, oh yeah, I could finally get something to draw with. And that's what I'm going to do today, is show you what you could do with some supplies and different kind of starter packs, so you could use them too. I only grabbed things from the school aisle in case someone's parents was like, no, you can't get stuff from the craft aisle, which I know sounds strange, but it's not too far-fetched. Within the school aisle, there's even how to draw books and coloring books too, in case you want to learn how to draw, or maybe you just don't like drawing but you like to color. So there's also that to take note of. I'm gonna be honest, the biggest disadvantage of this entire thing is the paper. It's kind of like newsprint, which is this really light, really cheap paper that you can get for any kind of sketchbook. It did come with like a nice tutorial inside, but the tutorial is great for paper that you could be a little bit rougher with. This, on the other hand, is a little light, but we'll see if we can make things work. So I made 3 sets. The charcoal set, which is what you see in front of you for the charcoal people. The inking set, which is for like everyone who likes to use like little markers and pens. And the color set, which I personally like crayons, so that's what I got for this occasion. So side note about the paper, you can get poster board and then get $1 sanding sponge from Dollar Tree and use that to rough up the paper so you could use it. But like as a kid, my mom would be like, why are you buying a sanding sponge? So I didn't really put that in as an option for someone who's younger and they were trying to just get around to get something that they want from the dollar store. For this set, there was charcoal sticks, or not sticks, but pencils. And I thought they would be of different heaviness slash darkness is the best way I guess I could say it, because you have from 2B, 4B, 6B, 8B, and those would be different lights and darks of charcoal, but each one was the same color, so that was a bummer. But you could press really light or press really hard depending on what you want to shade within your drawing. I also got the Pentel eraser, which is over on the side, and that's like incredible that they have that within Dollar Tree. Not only do they have that, but obviously you need your regular pencil just so you could sketch out. So I got those Papermate mechanical pencils, which you could find the refills for everywhere. And then a whiteout kind of like stick instead of like the whiteout little bottle, so you could do highlights within your drawing. I know that's like, you know, ghetto, but that's like what you have to work with, and that's perfectly fine. Or like if you do get the chance to go over to the craft aisle, you can go get the little bottle of white acrylic paint and use that instead, but you would also have to buy a paintbrush in that case. So it's kind of like, what's your budget and what can you get for what set you want to work with. One thing I kind of didn't include within this set was the sharpener, which the reason why I didn't was because I thought if you are someone who uses pencils regularly in school, you're most likely going to have a sharpener already on you. But if you're somebody who's at that disadvantage of only using the mechanical pencil, you're not going to have a sharpener. So you might have to not buy something as a result. Like, knowing myself, is I wouldn't buy the erasers because the mechanical pencils would have erasers on them or something like that. Like, I would have to work around what I'd have to, but that's why I didn't buy a sharpener for this set, is because I was like, okay, trying to work with what I've got over here, this is the best option. I didn't buy a blending stump either. I just decided to use my finger because I thought when I was younger, I just always used my finger, or like a tissue. Like I would grab a tissue and use that to smudge around for the drawing too. So that's also an option that you could do, because when you have a budget to work with, you're gonna find really creative ways to use what you need to get what you need done. So with that little set, I was able to make this drawing right here, which I actually think is probably my favorite, but then again, I'm biased because I kind of like charcoal and the look of it and stuff. Okay, now we move on to the inking set. What I got is a few highlighters, which I encountered a problem with right away, sadly, because the paper is so cheap. It kind of started ripping through the paper already, and I was like, okay, so we can't use the highlighters, but they are really good if you want to do like notebook doodles, which of course I don't suggest, but regardless of what I say, you're probably going to do in the middle of class anyway. I also got some gel pens, which were really great. I was like, wow, these gel pens are great. And then the infamous right here multi-inked pen, where there's a bunch of different inks on there, so you don't need to buy any other pen, and that's great for doing any kind of work within the inking world. I also brought up to the screen a pair of black gel pens, which you could use as well if you're not somebody who likes to do colored ink, but that's just another option. Or like an alternative for your preference. Of course, the one thing that's going to carry over for all 3 sets is the sketchbook and the whiteout. I really think, of course, you can't really draw on like nothing, so of course you're going to have the sketchbook, and then the white highlight really brings the drawing together no matter what medium you're using. Now, what I did for this is obviously I sketched it out with the lead pencil, and then afterwards I went in with the big pen because it has many different inks on it, and I just wanted to get some color within the piece. Now, coloring it in completely with a pen is a lot. it's a lot of work, but you could do something that imitates the idea of coloring something in, which is like hatching and cross-hatching. Hatching is when you lay lines down next to each other to kind of create shadow or shade, and you can either make them crisscross or just straight down, and then it kind of gives the idea of something being colored in. So that's a very well-known and widely used technique with amazing results every time. So I highly suggest you could do something like that when it comes to inking, if you're just an inking person, of course. And I actually like this piece a lot because of it. I used the highlighter around him because I thought that would just be a nice touch. Finally, we have the color set, which is just strictly crayons. I know there are a lot of packs of crayons here, and not everybody likes all those different kinds of crayons. That's when you pick what you like. Maybe you're just a neon crayons type of person, or a regular set, or you like metallic and pastel. That's all up to preference. I did try and see if there was an actual difference between like the metallic or the glitter and stuff like that, because I was like, they kind of look the same. And then even looking up close, I only saw little sparkles within the set, but I was like, okay, it's kind of like a no for me. So that's just like a keep in mind thing. You don't need all the packs, you just need the ones that work best for you. You obviously can use the pencil to go ahead and sketch in, but when it comes to crayons and myself, I like to try and imitate some realism with it. I don't know what it is about crayons, but I always like doing that. And I end up just going straight in instead of sketching something out, especially because the pencil kind of gets lost under crayon sometimes, so I just think that it's better to go in just for the idea of letting loose, because not everything needs to be an exact science when it comes to drawing. You could just have some fun with the shading, and it turns out I didn't even need all those packs. I just mostly use the main 16 Crayola pack that you can get from Dollar Tree, so keep that in mind too. I think try and add some extras for maybe like a pastel pack or something, but otherwise realistically it turns out I only needed the one pack. So keep in mind with that what you could do, and maybe you could grab other colors from other mediums instead, like color pencils, or if they have markers too. I ended up doing this eye and I really liked it, and the white highlight definitely pulled through for me. It looks so cool, so that's probably one of the drawings I'm the most happy with, is this one. Now, to recap on all 3, with the charcoal set I was able to do a nice little doodle that honestly looks really cute to me. I like him. And then we also have the inking set, which again, hatching and cross hatching is your best friend for using inks. And then you have the crayon set, which you could just go in and let loose and just kind of practice what you need to with them, especially when it comes to shading and blending colors together. It works really great. Now again, I said that the disadvantage was the paper, and you could even see stuff like the white highlight come through on the back. So your best bet maybe is to try and get a different kind of paper. And for example, like I'm going to be using right now my Fabriano Mixed Media sketchbook. I know not everybody has the chance to get a sketchbook, but at Walmart they have the Mixed Media sketchbooks for like literally $5, so save it up, and on a good day when you see your parents are in a great mood or something, or like you have the ability to save some money on the side for maybe chores or whatever you do, and you're like, okay, I can spoil myself, get yourself a Mixed Media sketchbook, because honestly it's going to be the best option for you. The reason why I say it's the best option for you, right, is because this paper is way thicker than the one at Dollar Tree. Now, what does that mean? What does thicker paper mean? It means you could beat it up a little bit more. You can press down harder on it. It won't rip as easy. You don't have to worry about the paper just like when you're erasing, all of a sudden it rips in half and stuff like that. You're also able to use like a lot more different mediums, so not only are you just stuck with marker or pencil, but you could use some paint within Mixed Media sketchbooks and watercolors, so you're able to expand your I'm gonna say palette more when it comes to paper that can actually handle more of what you're doing. So keep that in mind, that maybe if you get the chance to get better paper, because at the end of the day you can have super great supplies. I'm talking about supplies that are worth hundreds of dollars, but if your paper is trash, it's gonna end up trash. I'm telling you, because I've been there before. That like art supplies are only as good as the ones that you get. So if you paint on printer paper, it's gonna look like it was painted on printer paper. You get me? So if you get a sketchbook that can hold up a lot of the beating that you're gonna give it, like how I pressed down really hard with these crayons and how I did like a bunch of blending and stuff like that, that would have never been able to had like taken place in the previous sketchbook that I got from Dollar Tree, because it's such weak newsprint paper. So my best advice to you when it comes to that is try your hardest to possibly get this kind of sketchbook. That's literally the best advice I could give you. And you could still get the rest of your supplies from Dollar Tree. I still do that now. I use a bunch of my stuff that I get from Dollar Tree on my artwork currently. There's no shame in it, and don't ever let anyone tell you that there's any shame in it, because obviously it's not always the supplies, but how good you make do with them. So I think that I created an awesome drawing right here with just a bunch of crayons and some pens and whiteout from the Dollar Tree. And you could use any other thing from there too. So keep that in mind. So yeah, thanks for watching, and remember, I love you. Bye.